Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Collaboration Cafe and our Monday morning mastermind. Today is February 13th, and for those who have a loved one, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Don't forget, it's a big deal, right? So I'd like to welcome a few new guests today. Rock has recently joined us. Rock Patterson is in the Orlando area, correct, Rock?
Sir. Yes, sir.
And he's in our referral company, which is a division in the commercial division. But what he has is numerous listings in Costa Rica. And how can that benefit us? Well, we all have investors looking for somewhere else, and Rock would be the gentleman to reach out to. So, Rock, tell us a little bit about yourself and just some of the properties you have in Costa Rica.
I began real estate many years in California. Did it part-time while working as a director in hospitals, and traveled a lot. Traveled too much for my other career. Ended up in Florida and met my wife. This is where it all started. I met her in Costa Rica, San Jose, and got married. And through that, my brother-in-law, who's an Italian psychiatrist, it's a really weird story, had an investment called Bellagio Pacifico, Flor de Pacifico, up in the Tamarindo area, Flamingo area, up there on the northern coast. So we started forming some work on a development. Him and some Italian partners. That pretty much dissolved, and so did my business there. And I just pulled my license as a realtor. I kept my license, but the realtor designation. I'm not made for. I discovered I'm not made for the market here in Florida, and I've been dying to get to Costa Rica. So I created a website and introduced myself to several people. It was called, the original one was In Love with Costa Rica. And it was just meant to be a clearinghouse of buying and selling, because there's a lot of property landowners that don't trust the local agents, the ticos as they call them. So we developed. I met my partner one of my trips. She had a listing. She was sitting on a property for development, Las Candelinas. It's still available. Phenomenal property. Already developed. 50 lots are already developed and more available in just outside of San Mateo, which is still in the Central Valley. I make it very quick. We formed a company and as soon as we formed this company, a legal company there in Costa Rica, we got 5 large listings and 10 large listing, and now we're over 30, and not enough buyers. And we did the boutique real estate way you do it there in Costa Rica, word of mouth. There's some Latin publications, websites that we used. I spent some money on China. I spent some money on Europe, those kind of things. And it just, John, when you reached out to me, it was a godsend, because we've got a ton of properties, and I feel like we're letting our sellers down. Some of them have price too high. Some of them are just poor. They're dollar poor, but property rich. They just need to get rid of some of these to make some money for their retirement and things like this. So it's just grown.
Sure.
And our website is grupotropicala.com. I'll happier if you can share it with everybody.
If you want, put it in the chat if you like, and guys, I'll get it all for you as well. But it's interesting. And look, we can never have enough good connections, right? And you never know who you're going to run across in the next day or two, or next week, or next year, saying, look, I'm looking to get out of the country, or looking for an investment other than in single family homes in Tampa. Okay, well, here's an opportunity for you, and that's why I always say, hey, say yes to everything, and let's figure it out. Let's find the right person to help with that situation, right? And so Rock, thank you. And go ahead. You're gonna say something?
Well, I was just going to say, a lot of them are very large. Some of them are very high-end properties. But but we have researchers. This is what's the amazing thing here, because it's a raw country when it comes to this. We've got a couple of folks that we were asked to find a coffee farm. I'll just say this, from somebody in Argentina. And we've got a gentleman, he gets on the phone because he was a former lender for 30, 40 years. We've got there the Mario brothers. They're not related, but Mario Guanacaste, Mario everywhere else. They get on the phone, they find a property. And if the buyer backs out, guess what? We have a listing. And so we have a large, great, beautiful farm up in the Poas area, which is the Coffee Ridge. So if there's people that maybe necessarily we don't have it on our website, we can normally find it if it's just a lot smaller development. So what we're working on right now is the exclusivity of the listings and things like this, which is we're working with the global marketing agent.
Right. Yeah, and for those who aren't in the know yet about the Global Marketing Network, Karen is a member of that, and I'm, if not mistaken, I think anybody can be a member of it. And these international properties, with the proper documentation signed by the seller, no matter where it is in the world, allows us, who's in the Global Marketing Network, to market that property in our MLS. Okay. So if here's Rock's problem, he's got too many listings. Wow, what a problem. The problem is he's just not getting the word out there because it's hard to, who's looking for Costa Rican properties and where are you looking at them? But by, introducing him to Karen and then Karen with Rock to Olivier and his mom in France, before you know it, this global marketing is going to be, I think, a real asset to you, Rock. So I'm glad we connected. It was a very simple little message back and forth on LinkedIn. He saw the value in what the team brings and what you have to lose, right? I mean, so we're thrilled that you're part of the organization. And if any of us can help you, Ed Escobar is a top shelf coach, mentor, trainer. Sean's a great lender. Rachel is a recent transplant from the Jersey area, has restaurants in her background. Colleen is also a restaurant owner in the Palm Harbor area. Maria is in Safety Harbor, and I think Maria, I think Maria's from Colombia originally, right?
Ecuador.
Ecuador. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah, and last but not least, Rose Bowman. We've known each other for well over 20 years now. Rose was one of the major players in developing a mentor and training program for Keller Williams. Right, Rose?
Yes, and for Ruttenberg.
Well, yes. And then she joined me at Charles Ruttenberg, and I knew right away that we don't have a mentor program, and we have a lot of the new agents joining. And when I first was at the organization, we weren't taking new people because it didn't fit our model, But I'm thinking, man, we're leaving a lot of people who want to join us, outside because we don't have training, mentoring, etc. So I had Rose come in. We basically took her program that she developed there and brought it over to Charles Ruttenberg and set up a mentor program. So Rose, why don't you share a little bit about you and from where you're from, your background, etc. And then we can bring up your idea about this card idea we came up with yesterday. Go ahead.
I'm originally from Massachusetts, came down here on vacation, and then next year, this was in '78, moved down here. So I've been down here quite a while. And I first was a teacher. I was a teacher in Massachusetts for about 12 years. And then I came down here, worked at a brokerage firm and financial planning firm. And then, let me see. And then I started in real estate. A lot of the same concepts in real estate that were in the financial planning in terms of, making your time to work in your business, on your business, out with the clients. And so I started, and I've been in real estate for about 21 years. Amazing. And I've made a few changes along the way. I did go to Keller Williams. I was only there 1 year, and then I went to Ruttenberg. I've been there forever. And like John said, we've worked together on a lot of different projects. It's been great. And so he's invited me to the Zoom meeting. And I think first on my list, I need to find someone who wants to buy in Costa Rica. Anyway, I'm excited to be here. I'll be talking with John this week, and I believe I'm going to be changing my license to EXP. I'm excited about that, and I'm looking forward to all the meetings and all the training and everything EXP has to offer.
Thank you, Rose. And I wanted to get your opinion on something that Rose and I chatted about over the weekend. We're always looking to how do we stay in contact with our customers? There's all different ways. A phone call, a text message, whatever it is. And I recently looked online on Amazon I wanted to send a card every month and have and almost like I want Amazon or whomever to send me a box of cards for every month of the year, right? And I'm thinking, well, and I didn't find anything that fit what I wanted to say. So why couldn't we create something like that and almost turn it into a small business on the side? Tell me that for the busy agents, they don't have time to do this. For our customers, it would be a great way for us to stay in contact with them. Let's face it, what do you get in the mail today? You're going to get a solicitation or a bill, okay? How many of us are going to get a card in the mail that says, hey, and I mean, yes, there's things out there like send out cards and things like that. That's great. But if we had some type of 12-month program where you could either have them mailed, have them to your home directly, and then you mail them, or mail them out for you, I think that'd be a nice asset to have. And I know we're not reinventing the wheel here, but at the same time, I think what we would be reinventing is the actual information or the card itself. You guys, would you see any value in that? Colleen, let me start with you. And if you don't, be honest. I just want to get an opinion to see if we should move forward on this.
Yeah, because I send out cards and it gets to be a lot every quarter I do it, and to plan them, think about what I'm doing. So if we collaborated and came together, it'd be much easier to get them all done.
Yeah, I think so too. And again, there's cards out there, but again, the message just wasn't what I wanted to share. Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, I've been doing my own on Canva, and it's time consuming.
Right.
Like you said, to figure out what message you want and how you want it to look.
Right. Yeah, and again, I think it's more important to send out something than nothing while you get caught up in what should I say, how do I create these? If you had 12 for January through December and they were automatically mailed, or you put a stamp on them, or whatever you wanted to do, I just think it'd be a nice way to communicate with your customers, because that's our future business, is our past customers. Let's face it. I'm sure if we looked at most of our production over the last year or two, it's coming from people that we knew, or referrals from people that we knew. So, Rachel, what do you think of the idea?
Great idea. But I think every year, I try to send at least one batch of greeting cards towards the end, Christmas, holidays, and always very time consuming. I did come across, which CRM was that? You can generate cards and you can customize it. I think it still takes a lot of time. If we can set up something generic throughout the 12 months or throughout at least 6 times, I think, and we can personalize a little more on top of it, I think it's going to be great. I think I'm totally game on that.
Yeah. Well, good. I think so too. And maybe it's not monthly, maybe it's quarterly, maybe it's semi-annually, but certainly I think it's got to be more, I think at least quarterly. How many times something happens in somebody's life, today, tomorrow, a birth, a death, a divorce, whatever. And, that's going to trigger some type of housing change. So we're going to work on that. Sean, what do you think?
Well, I think it's an absolute necessity that you are contacting your database, and I think cards, postcards are underrated. I mean, yes, you can send emails. They're most likely not going to get read. And I think having something tangible in their hands. And I think it should be every month. I don't think you can send out enough and just keep your, because send out cards does it, like you said, but it's a process. I've used it before. It's a process. If you could come up with something just ready to go, okay, just put your name on it, sign it, maybe a little note, send it out. I think that would, if you just did that, you would get maybe 3 to 5 more deals a year. I guarantee it.
Yeah, the return is going to be, it's going to be an easy return on your investment, no doubt. I mean, I sent out a letter here to my community. I've gotten, it's going to be 3 listings out of it. Okay, so it cost me $150, $170, and the average cost here might be 200 grand on a condo. Okay, even at 2%, that's $4 grand. Okay, times 3, 12,000. It's a no-brainer. But I think the key is to the ease at which we can do this. So Rose, that's going to be our job. Okay. Rose mentioned over the weekend we were chatting that she's got a closet full of cards from Brian Buffini. Well, maybe, we can take some of those ideas and customize them, and not too customize them. And we don't, because Rose, my thought is this could be a recruitable tool too. All right. Because if this group here, who's all EXP right now, is wanting this, that other agents across the country want it, right? And it may turn into a nice little business as well. Rock, what do you think? I know you're kind of in the referral group and stuff, but could you see something of value in this?
Again, I would agree with most of the more contact, as long as it's not annoying contact, as long as it's positive, keeping your name there, it's all good. A little unique for my situation there, but I know we updated. I don't think Lana does this, my partner there. I don't think she does those kind of more sensitive things. She just updates all of what we're doing to provide that. So our database is almost all sellers there.
Right. And I understand that, but here's what's an interesting perspective to look at. You as a customer, let's say you got you're from your dentist, your State Farm person, whomever it might be, we're going to refer them, but it just keeps them top of mind, right? And that's what we need to do as general real estate practitioners. Now, I know you're in a little bit different world there, but man, we have got to stay in front of our contacts, and the ease of which we do it in a thoughtful way with these cards, I think is better than an email or a text or if you have time, phone calls are great, but who doesn't like getting some type of card that may put a smile on their face today, right? Lisa, I know you joined us when we're just starting talking about this, but we're kicking around the idea of would you find value in having some cards made ready to mail on your behalf or to you that you could mail monthly or quarterly to your past customers?
Yeah, what I was going to say, what I'm doing now is whenever I'm in TJ Maxx or any of those stores, Home Goods, I go in and find a little card. Sometimes there's cards that don't have a message, they're blank, but they're nice cards. You think of somebody, they don't always answer the phone, they don't always want to be bothered. I like to talk on the phone, but then you just write them a little, hey, thinking of you, how's everything going? And try to remember something about them and just mail it. Right. I always keep stamps in my wallet, and you never know. But yeah, yours would be more effective because it would be a deliberate thing. But the only thing about that, I will say, is if we do something like that, we should sign it. Like if it's going to be a pre-done signature, it needs to be our signature, because I think those cards, that were real big, the one that Sean mentioned, they're kind of, even though they're supposed to be personalized, you can tell it's done on a computer. So people will just trash it. I hate to say that, but it doesn't have that same touch as your name scribbled.
No, I agree. And look, that's all I want to scribble on my card, because let's face it, I've got bad writing to begin with, and by the 40th card, it's really bad. So, but the name is very simple, and I agree with that. So, good idea. And blank cards are great, but then you got to take the time and write that stuff out. If I had 12 months of cards that were already pre-done with different messages, I'm going to use them.
It would be nice if we can leave it, either that we can sign it, like leave it blank, or have everybody have their own signature thing and have that already on the card. I mean, we could try that too.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Lisa. Ed, what do you
Yeah.
think?
I think that it's a good idea, especially if it's personalized. You know,
Yeah,
that's what George Bush used to do. Every day he would send out 5 handwritten cards.
yeah. Yeah, part of the ninja selling thing was sending out 2 cards every day, personal. Yeah, and you know what? You could leave room for Dear Lisa, Dear Ed, Dear Colleen, you know what I mean? And then the message, and then just a, you know, a signature. So, good. Did I miss anybody? Maria, if you'd like to chime in, what do you think?
Okay. Well, I don't know. I am in between. I hear the pros, and I am kind of like a con because I just throw away like coastal properties, like not even opening them. I know that they're coming from them, and I don't care, so I just throw them away. And I see regularly I receive things for retirement and things like that, and I don't even open them. So I'm completely honest. I throw everything away that I see that comes from either another realtor, an insurance company, or, so my concern is spending all this money because they're not cheap, and not having, like getting to them. That's my number one. Number two, I don't know, on your CRM, how do you guys keep up with that, with the new clients, sending them a card that to the new address? Like, I input the emails, and it seems to me like the emails are faster and easier and not as annoying as getting an envelope.
Yeah. Well, I know, I'm sure for those who use a CRM, I'm sure Sean can speak to that on KB Core. I have an Excel spreadsheet, which I just update all the time. And if a seller, obviously when a seller sells, where are they moving to? I ask the title company for a forwarding address. All right. Because we want to send it to where they're going, whatever state they're in. So look, I know we all need to look at the ROI. It doesn't cost anything to send an email, a text, etc. But I think we got to look at the effectiveness of that. And I agree with you. When I get a solicitation and I know what it is,
You already know the envelope, right? So there's cute cards. I bought for to just give up as gifts when we close in a house. I have some that says, welcome to your new home, or thank you for using me. I do that when we close, and then after we close, I save the addresses. But I just don't know. It is so time consuming. I used to have sent out cards before, and those are very personal. I love the quality on those, but same thing. We never have enough time to actually.
Well, that's the whole point of this as well. But let's say you just sent somebody your database to send the cards out to. I mean, I just think we'll look at pricing and see what it costs to make a card. I think a card is more effective than a postcard, only to our customers, to the ones who can open something up and they may perceive more value in there with the same message. But we're going to kick it around, Rose, and give it some thought. See what
one idea that I have, and it worked for me years ago. I remember when I started it, I created this flyer with a kind of like a hurricane preparedness. And it seemed like people kept that much more than just the regular card.
Right.
Giving them something that was, the emergency phone numbers, and just something of value.
Right.
I think that will be much better than just sending the card.
Right. I agree. I mean, there's nothing wrong with what you're saying is not incorrect, but so all ideas that we will take into consideration, that's for sure. I know like in Florida with these new condo laws, tell me that it wouldn't be valuable to share that information with condo communities that are high rises, not to scare people.
Well, that's what you're gonna do, just to scare them.
But I mean, it's a value though to share information and be alerted of this, right? So
same with the flood insurance, and the cost. If I always jump with a lender. I always jump with a title company. So I think that if you guys come up with a car that maybe can be cheaper to purchase for us and have, you know, a title and a lender involved in the back, right? Then that will be an easier thing to do for us to buy it and get it ready. You know, cute cars with some information, but then you have vendors too that help
Right.
with the cost.
Okay, good idea. Rose, you taking notes?
Yes, you know, all my mind is going crazy here thinking about different things. But when I first started real estate, my first month, I went to a Brian Buffini.
I did too. I did
Yes,
too. Yes.
and one of the things that he told us, and I've always kept this in the back of my head, and I've followed it pretty much, is that when you send out something, you always have to send something of value. And that doesn't mean, you know, you send something of value to 100 people, but you might pick 20 people every month. Um, and I've done that. I do a newsletter every month, and yes, it does take time. In fact, with the holidays, I haven't done one now for 2 months. But people like that. I get responses all the time. The one thing I like about a postcard is that when I was in financial planning, I sent letters to everybody starting off new. And I had close friends who just saw AXA advisors and they threw it away, even though it was me. And then I would meet with them and they said, oh, you sent me a letter, I threw it away. The nice thing about a postcard, it's quick. I always write like, hi, John, whoever it's going to, and I sign my name, and I might say, take care, or hope you're having a great day. And with a postcard, I like to say you're in their face, and it takes like 5 times for you to make an impression on someone. And a postcard is a great way to start. And you can also send things like in the summer, I send whistles. Valentine's Day, I usually send those box hearts. I mean, you can do it, and you can even do it pretty cheaply if you don't. Maybe every other month you send an item of value to maybe your top 20, you know, and you alternate. So I think that I think it has a lot of merit. I haven't done a lot of that lately, unfortunately, but when I started, man, I did it all the time. It was great.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, what can it hurt? You know, and so we'll look into it, see what the cost is, and get some ideas too. You know, this I think, and you get to a point where people almost will look forward to getting the card. And I'm not saying a real estate update. I'm just thinking, you know, a St. Patrick's Day thing, a Mother's Day, a Father's Day, Memorial Day, whatever it might be. Just some different ideas that they almost would look forward to seeing that card. And like send out cards. The guy that I talked to, it's like they call it fridge worthy. It's a fridge worthy card because it's such a good card or picture. People put it on their fridge. So just a thought. Well, that was the main topic I wanted to talk about today, and then I just want to kick it open to see if there's any issues or problems that we can help anybody with, any contractual things that came up this week. Anybody want to raise your hand or just say something?
I just want to add in, in KV Core, there is something you can choose as API handwritten postcards, and everything is all created for you for if you were to just write something down. I just checked it out. I saw it before. I don't know, maybe that could be done through our different wording and whatnot, but there is an app right there that you could just connect with KV Core, and if you choose that route, because I think each of the handwritten notes has to be really personal, because each time when I write something, I have to think about the experience that each one bought in for each deal and how they feel. So it's definitely cannot be too generic, because every client is different, knowing their family, how they move, and how the closing went. And, so I just thought that could be a little difficult comes to times.
Yeah, I agree. But Colleen, go ahead.
I have, and this might be a silly question, but I have somebody that wants to do a lease back after closing. Do I have to do the lease and have both parties sign it now with the offer, or do we wait till closer to closing?
No, first of all, let somebody else talk, then I'll answer. Okay, go ahead. Anybody
Okay.
got an answer for her? Yes, no, maybe? Okay.
Lease back after closing or?
Or do I put a contingency in the offer that we're gonna do a lease back, but at what point do I have to fill out the lease? Because that's my responsibility, correct?
Go ahead, Lisa.
Actually, if you know a good attorney, it's best to get an attorney that for a couple $100, they will write up the lease. And that point, the contract is with you to sell the house, okay? But the lease back is between the leasee and the ex-owner, you know, or the new owner. Does that make any sense? So this way you take the legal liability off for you. I have a friend that uses an attorney all the time when they do lease backs, and I think that's the cleanest, most legal way to do it, so you don't get into trouble.
So
Just
we
my
have
opinion.
at least in the MLS too that we can use that is pretty simple and it's it will stand in any court if you want to. I will do it the day of closing, not before, because you're leasing it back the day of closing, right?
Yes.
So that's what I will do. I will wait until the closing date, have them check it out before closing. But the one that we have on the MLS is very standard and it's very good.
Okay.
Maria and Lisa are not wrong, but Colleen, look at it. It's the contract's contingent on the property being leased back to the seller. Right? Right.
Correct.
So you need a post-occupancy addendum added to the contract, and the post-occupancy addendum requires a lease to be drawn up. So you could use the lease that's in Florida Realtors, and I've always thought this: how long is the lease back for?
1 month.
Okay, and what condition is the property in right now?
Excellent condition.
Okay, so the reason I ask that is the seller took care of their home, and the seller is going to take good care of the home once they are no longer the owner of the property, right? So I would have no problem with doing a lease back. Now, if it's not a great property, if the property's not maintained well, if there are back taxes and liens and HOA fees on it, there's no way I would allow that seller to do a lease back for my buyer. Now you're talking, do I need to evict them? Okay.
Right.
Another thing you may want to consider is some money held back at closing until the sellers vacate. All right. It's almost like a security deposit, making sure that the movers didn't damage anything, because once the closing happens, the sellers are no longer the owners of the property. All right. So, hello, dog. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right.
Okay.
I think a full-blown lease for a month is a little overkill.
Okay, Andy.
But that's what the post-occupancy addendum will require.
Okay.
You know, does a lease have to be 20 pages? Not necessarily. And again, I'm saying that only because of the current condition of the property, the seller. In this case, I do a blank addendum with the terms of it. Are they even renting it for $1 or $5, $100, whatever they're doing, you know? But I think X amount should be withheld until the buyers do a walkthrough and the sellers are out and no damage is made. Then that money, and it's substantial, $5 grand, whatever it might be, is released to the seller. Rose is nodding. Yes?
Yeah, I kind of just did one like that. I had a buyer who was, they were going to Romania for a month, and the seller didn't know if he could get out in time. Anyway, so we put it as a post occupancy and did a lease for a month. He was charged $500 a month, put down a security deposit, and it was great. I think one of the most important things we did with this was the buyer and the seller, when we went over for the inspection, we met with the seller and just made it more human and personal rather than just on paper. And that made a big difference. It went so well. I mean, it just really went well, and they kept in touch, and the seller even did a few things for the buyer while they were gone. It was great,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, everybody's got good comments here and nobody's saying anything incorrectly. Lisa's right. I mean, you could use an attorney. I think it's a little bit overkill for a month. And again, only because the home's in good shape and the sellers, have maintained it and will maintain it in that same condition for that month. So, but that's got to be part of the contract. Post-occupancy addendum, because the sellers aren't going to sell to this buyer unless the buyer allows them to stay in for a month.
Okay.
Right? Right. So
Right.
post-occupancy, which calls, if you read that, it's a very short little addendum, but it calls that a lease to be drawn up. Well, the definition of a lease doesn't mean it's 20 pages. It can be a much more brief document.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sean, does that affect the loan at all?
Possible. It depends on what type of loan they're getting, because most of the loans allow, 60 days before you have to move in, right? 45 to 60 days. So it would depend on the type of loan. It could, it just depends on the.
Well, with 30 days, it shouldn't be a problem.
No.
But I've got one right now.
But
VA
I would
buyer.
not show that to the lender. I wouldn't show any, I just wouldn't, be careful what you show to the lender, because then it could possibly go down a rabbit hole and you don't want that.
Right. Is it a Colleen cash or finance deal?
It's a cash deal.
Okay, good. That makes it even easier. Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Well, good. I have for those who don't frequent workplace, there's a lot of potential business there. I picked up another buyer there about a month ago just by reacting. And I'm going to go show this young man some homes. And it's interesting. They sent me the homes. I set them up in a search. They sent me the ones they wanted to see this afternoon. Of the 7 they want to see, 3 had open houses yesterday. I sent them to the open houses. They said, John, I think we found our home. All right. So this home is beautiful. It's on Bridal Ford in Gibsonton. 4.2, 2,500 square feet, been on the market for 6 months. Amazing. Brand new roof, brand new AC. So it's listed now for $389. It was $435. But they need, I asked them, I said, how much money do you have? Well, we got $8,000 in the bank. I go, okay, well, the VA, which is great, young couple moving from Virginia to McDill. So I have to ask for all closing costs to be paid, right? Which with VA, as you know, it's a maximum of 4%. Well, that's 15 grand. Well, so what do I come in at? It's going to appraise at 400. They got it listed at 389. So we made an offer of 380 with asking for 4%. So we'll see what happens. But my point is, man, this came from workplace, a referral, somebody looking for an agent in Tampa. And what I'm finding is very interesting. The last couple I've done, man, they're grilling me. They want to know my stats. They want to see what my production is. And you know what? That's really not a bad idea, because if we're referring somebody to another agent, we want to make sure they know what they're doing, right? Because it's the chances of it getting done are greater. Plus, we want to not set somebody up for failure. So if you haven't been on Workplace, you should. It's a great place to communicate, get some information, and possibly referrals as well. So, anybody else have a question, comment, anything good? Anything we can help you with?
Quick question, where can we find our EXP 1099?
Online.
Okay.
And it was emailed to you, Rachel.
Okay.
They were all emailed, okay? But I will, I'm guessing I'll find it to show you exactly where it is and send it to you. But we all received an email and I got 2 of them, because you'll get one for this, if you're participating in the stock program, you'll get the money that was basically given to you for the stock they bought for you, and then the income from your commissions.
Okay, great.
I have a quick question, because I love the idea of getting the new agents. What is that you say, like a tutor program, John?
Mentor.
Mentor. Okay, so you're gonna be working on that, or do we have anything already?
EXP already has a mentor program, and you can become a mentor if you want to be. And when any new agent who hasn't done 3 transactions yet must be assigned a mentor for their next 3 transactions. The mentor earns 10% of the commission, and then 10% goes to EXP for the mentor program. So, and if you wanted to be a mentor, if you had time, there's a certification you take, and you can pick and choose when EXP asks you to be a mentor. So they're looking for mentors all the time.
Okay, no, more than anything is, my daughter passed the exam, so she is a new agent. So I'm trying to,
Wonderful.
yes. I mean, I will mentor her in everything, but I love the idea of having somebody like Rose. I think that's what she was doing, right? Like
Right.
putting together something for the new agents.
Yeah, and then Ed's got his training programs as well, so there's all kind of tools there for the for the new agents. And I think sometimes, looking at any brokerage's training, it's a little overwhelming,
It
so
is.
she will be assigned a mentor. She can choose a mentor. Okay. If like Karen's one, I am one, you could be
Okay.
one, Maria, if you wanted to, get the certification and just mentor your daughter.
Yeah.
Maria,
Okay.
you might want to have her get involved in this kick-ass training program I'm doing on Friday. I'm going to launch it off. It'll definitely catapult her, at least 6 months to a year as far as knowing what to say, how to handle the objections, how to give the presentation. So send me your email and I'll send you the information on it.
Okay. Thank you, Ed.
Yeah. There's a lot of tools there for agents at every level, but being new, so her first three closings are going to be on a 60-40 split because of the mentor fee. All right.
If she chooses to go with a mentor, she doesn't have to, right?
Yes, she has to.
Oh, she has to with EXP? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because look, they want new people to be set up for success. And I know that you'd be a great mentor role model for her, but unless, let's talk to Karen about that when she's back in town, because we can get that waived for someone that's on the team. But you're going to be her mentor then, quote unquote. It wouldn't be Karen because we're getting that fee waived.
Okay. No, and the whole thing is, there is another person that is a brand new agent too that I'm probably bringing. So, is a friend of my daughter. So they're going to be doing it in twos. But I remember when I joined, as a new agent, we went to pro. That's what we did. Like I took, the MLS classes and everything was through pro.
Mhm.
I didn't have that much. Keller Williams agents, they have a ton of support with Keller Williams, but
Mhm.
I joined Realty Executives, I remember, and I trained by myself.
Right. Well, I'm sure Pro, GTAR, they all have great training still, as does EXP with the Fast Start series for every new agent.
Yeah.
That EXP briefcase, which I'll send to you, shows the brand new agents what to do on a daily basis as well. But that's more EXP related, let's say, to get the career, off and running. Maybe they should both join Ed at the same time, because that kind of stuff is, boots on the ground, overcoming objections. There's all kind of different facets that we can learn with real estate, whether it be learning about the MLS, property searches, etc. But we need to know how to prospect and how to overcome objections and talk to people. Because I always said, hey, if your phone doesn't ring, you'll never have to worry about writing up a contract or listing ever, And once your phone does ring, now what do I do? So yeah, I think it'd be worth, listening to Ed, talking to Karen about the mentor program, and Rose would be a perfect candidate for you, and anybody. So.
I'm gonna have to scoot. Colleen, I'll see you at 11.
Ed, thanks for being here.
All right, buddy.
Have a good day, guy.
Bye-bye.
All right. Anything else, anybody?
I have another question. So I know last week we talked about, well, not last week, the week before, I talked about my Dunedin new constructions, and it was being staged. You know, did a great job, and so I did temporary off the market,
Mhm.
and I was gonna try to see if I could withdraw and then put it onto MIS as a new listing. It
No,
won't let
Can't do
me.
no.
Yeah.
No, you'd have to be off. I think it might be, is it 60
That's
days or 30 days?
30
Yeah.
days. Yeah, but I didn't want to waste any more time. It was just being
And if I'm
completed
not
January
mistaken,
1st.
correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, it's not only, I think it's the brokerage has to be off. For example, I'm thinking with Jim, you could withdraw it and have Jim relist it, but because you're with the same brokerage,
Right.
it won't start
Won't
over.
let you. Right.
And it will still show in the history of the listing. So you don't want to do that. The best thing to do is just take it off the market, do it your thing. And then when I remarket it again, I always add something in the beginning of the remarks, like
Yeah, of course.
new paint was done, or, you know, or new windows, or, you know, just something to attract the clients again. And I reduce the price, even if it's $1,000.
Right. Yeah,
Even
but
if it's
Rachel, I don't
$1,000.
think by putting it off the market, and even if it did work on the market,
Mhm.
Maria's right. I would just lower it $10. I mean,
Yeah.
now that you got it staged, now get new photos in there, lower the
The
price
new
a little
photos
bit.
are everything, you
Right.
Yeah,
know, those
already.
are everything. So you
Yeah.
can say, you know, anything, you just, you know, they don't, if before you have it recently painted, you can put brand new paint, you know, it doesn't matter. As long as the pictures attract the people again, that's
Mhm.
what you want.
Yeah, I
You know what?
rewrite the whole remarks.
Have you boosted it at all through KB
Um,
Corp?
we did a few times with Sean, so I think I'm probably gonna redo it again. But we did got like 8 traffic so far since 2 weeks ago. So
Okay.
And the
yeah.
other thing is that flyer that goes to the markets too. The
Mhm.
blast emails, those blue and yellow ones,
Mhm.
you know, and just put right there, you know, brand new to the market. Nobody's gonna know, like, you know, they're not following your house per se, you know what I mean? So if you put
Right.
brand new to the market and you catch it with a good pictures, I think that's the best way to do it too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It
Thank you.
keeps people legal, you know, and there was quite a fine for what it's called is MLS manipulation by
Yeah.
Stellar. That's what it's called, and it's $500. You know, so that's
Right.
why, because people were doing that a lot. They were taking it off the market, putting it back on the next day as if it's a new listing. Well, look, you can get the same results by lowering it $5. You know, and while I'm thinking of it, I think I mentioned this to Colleen somebody last week. In your listing agreements, put in the listing agreements that seller authorizes listing agent to lower price at any time. Okay, this way we're not doing MLS status change forms all the time, you know, because the brokerage may require, you know, where's the addendum or the MLS status change form to lower the price? Well, it's built into my listing agreement already, so just keep that in mind. Okay. Anything else, anybody? Sean, thank you for all you do for us, and KB Core Training Wednesday live at 4 p.m. in the office.
Good one
And,
this Wednesday.
yeah, bring your laptop and get there early so we can get set up. 4 o'clock we start sharp. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Rose, thank you for your 2 cents today. We appreciate you. Rose is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to marketing and training and mentoring and coaching and just being a really sweet gal. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, we'll be in touch, Rose. Everybody have a good week.
Have a good week.
Peace. Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.